Sup guys, welcome back. In today's video, let me get in frame, I'm going to be talking about mind over matter, which a lot of you have heard about. This is a saying, popular saying. A lot of people live by it. I lived by it at one point, and it got me through a lot of things, but I think it's misrepresented, and I think it needs to be redefined. So before I get into this video, I just want to recommend you subscribe. This is what I do on this channel. I give you military knowledge, tips, and tricks. Getting into the military, getting out of the military, everything in between. So if you're enjoying this sort of content, make sure to subscribe. So let's get into it. Mind over matter. A lot of people choose to define their lives by this and live their lives to the fullest under these words. My opinion on the matter was, before going into the Marine Corps, it was a nice thing. It got me strong. I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna get through things. But the thing is, before you join the military, you aren't gonna run until you pass out. That's not what people do. You don't do that. The only time that you run until you pass out is if you have something on the back of in the back of your mind, or if you have somebody literally shouting at you that's saying keep pushing. All right, unless you have a suicide wish, you're not going to pass on to the great beyond by physical exertion. That's not a thing that humans are built to do. So mind over matter. First time that I experienced its lie and how it needs to be redefined was in the crucibles. So this is the last 2.5 days of being a recruit in Marine Corps recruit training, Parris Island or San Diego, but for me it was Parris Island. It was super humid that day. This is the last 9-mile hike out of 54 miles in 2.5 days. This was the last hike of it. And I remember we were at the last stretch, or not the last stretch, but we had just started it. And it was nighttime, there was all these trees, just really tall trees, South Carolina, if you guys know what it looks like. There's all these tall trees, and you can just see the stars. You have the moon right in the center, and I remember it was just concrete. It was like a parade deck. It was just concrete. It felt like, I don't know where we were because it was so dark, but it was like an airfield. It was just concrete. We were marching, and we were just going forward, and we were like, what the fuck, you know? We were going forward, and I remember this was the last stretch, and if you guys get queasy, I want to show you a picture of what our ankles look like, so look away now. Our ankles are non-existent, to say the least. They're bloody. They have silver dollar-sized gashes in them where you can see muscle. It's not a fun time. It's gross. And it's, you know, mind over matter, I think, can apply to those situations, just because if you have pain, you can overcome pain. But if you have actual muscle fatigue, I think that's something different, all right? But as for pain, like, there's stories, I was watching one yesterday on YouTube, there's stories about people cutting off their arms with pocket knives to go and save themselves from, like, the starvation, or like for this particular incident, it was a farm accident. He freaking chopped off his arm with a pocket knife to go and escape a fire that had almost consumed him. People can overcome those things. That's crazy. I don't know if I could have been able to do that, but I do know, like, it is possible and people do that. But the mind over matter thing is taking a whole other direction when I tell you the story, which is, we were hiking forward. We had these gashes in our feet. We've had almost no food, no sleep, and we are at the last stretch, the morning of the day that we are going to become Marines if we get through this fucking hike. And we were going through, and half of my platoon, half of the company really, so like 300 Marines or 300 recruits at the time, we're falling back. All right, we were all marching forward in a column. They're falling back, and it just became a mob. It was just a big oval, sideways oval, just recruits trying to go forward. And you know, the drill instructors were yelling at us. They were like, man, like, come on guys, you're almost there. They were actually motivating us now, all right, because they're like, holy shit, this sucks. So they're actually motivating us. Come on guys, let's get through. We're almost done. We're almost there. You're gonna become Marines, and just get fucking through. And I remember the only way that those people could have gone forward, it's not their mind at that point. It's not their mind. They didn't have sleep. They didn't have food. Their body doesn't have fat to go and, because over the past 3 months they burned it all off by running. They didn't have fat to go and consume. Their body was giving up. And people die from this stuff all the time. It's like people die during hikes and runs in the military all the time. Training, I've seen so many people pass out. I've seen so many people sprout out unconscious from this stuff. And I remember the only way that they were going to become Marines was if we all held our arms out, and we put on the back of their packs, and we marched forward. That was the only way. There was no other way. People were taking packs from each other, putting on top of their packs if they were still feeling like good and whatever. And then after like 500 feet, they'd be like, holy shit, I can't do this anymore. Like, and it's not because they gave up on themselves with their mind. It's because like they were like, what happens during hikes, guys, is if you have 100 pounds on your back, but you're only going to have like 40 pounds on your back during boot camp. But I remember in the fleet, some separate hikes, if you have 100 pounds on your back, at least for me, being a 5'4", 130 pounds, it's going to go and make your body numb. Like you literally can't feel your face. And remember, like, I just remember, this is the weirdest feeling, but I remember hiking forward, and I've got the straps are cutting circulation off my fucking jugulars. And I remember I couldn't feel a thing, like nothing. And I was holding my rifle, and I felt this drip on my legs. And the only thing that you can feel during hikes is your legs, because all the blood is going there, and your entire body is just giving everything to your legs so that you can just keep pumping forward. It's not a mental thing at that point. It's physical. I'm proving it to you guys. And I remember the dripping of my sweat. I couldn't feel my face, and I remember the sweat dripping off my chin and hitting my leg. And I was like, what? Like, and I felt this wet spot on my leg, and I could see the water dripping. And I was like, what? Like, why is my leg wet? Am I bleeding or something? And then I noticed, like, it was dripping from my, and then I like wiped my face, and it was dripping from my chin and hitting my leg, and I couldn't feel it. This is the sort of exhaustion you're going to experience, and your body will not be able to go on at some points. And that's where the crucible, every Marine knows this, the only way that you get through it is with teamwork. You can't get through on your own. And that alone should prove to you that mind over matter is a myth. It gets you through certain things like pain, but it doesn't get you through physical exhaustion. And when I mean exhaustion, I mean like literal exhaustion. You're fucking done, right? So, God, I'm getting livid with this because this is a lie that so many people have been trying to tell me, and I'm like, no. Like, you guys have seen it yourselves. I'm just putting a word to it. I know that everybody's been pumping into your minds, like, mind over matter, but it's, you got to give yourself some leeway when it comes to your body. The body is fragile. The human body is not meant for carrying this much weight when you're only the size that you are. It's not meant to do that for 54 miles. That's where teamwork comes in. And I believe that the Crucible is awesome. I think it's a great way to make Marines. But I just don't think that mind over matter is the reason that you get through. Another example, I was getting into it. When you have more weight, like in School of Infantry or in your unit, I was an infantryman in the Marine Corps, so we hike. That is our job. And I remember like just putting on the pack, and everything's numb and everything. And I remember I would pass out. Like I would just keep walking sideways and stuff, and everything was kind of going to a blur, and I remember just crazy times, guys, crazy times. I've done hundreds of hikes just like this. And so many people have the same thing. I remember, actually my cousin, he's in School of Infantry right now. I hope he's not watching this video because I don't want to embarrass you, but it's not embarrassing, whatever. My cousin, he's in School of Infantry right now, but he's actually getting dropped out. He's 6 foot, he's a fucking stud. He's like 6'2" actually. He's a fucking stud, he's tough. He was a squad leader in boot camp, like he knew what he was doing. But when he hit School of Infantry, he couldn't pass the final hike or something. It was some physical thing. I think they have to do this test where they get over a wall and they dummy drag a 450-pound dummy. Like he couldn't get past it. So he's going to become some other job in the Marine Corps, which is totally acceptable. It took me a while to say this, but I have to say I have respect for POGs, persons other than grunts now. I have respect for them just because, like, infantry is not the answer. I'm getting this text right here. Hopefully it's not going to destroy the video here, but, I'll finish up the video now, but, yeah, like, there's a certain extent where you can't go on, all right? This guy was not giving up on himself. He was a squad leader in boot camp. He was almost going to be a squad leader in SOI, but then he didn't pass this. And you think that he could have passed that if he just tried enough? No. His body couldn't do it. And, one last final point to prove this and get it in your minds is bench presses, right? We've all done them at the gym. If you're going into the military, you better be doing bench presses. Push-ups is it's going to be your life, so do bench presses. But benching. You can't just jump into 200 pounds. You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to get yourself killed. Your body has limitations, all right? And like you can't deny that. So make sure you work hard at what your goals are. Make sure you understand that mind over matter is good to an extent, and it's a good it's a good thing to live by. But you can't if you live by it to the extent where like you think that you can overcome anything in the world by this motto, you're going to be let down and you're going to be left without anything. And that is what I left with out of the Marine Corps was, you know, what was this about? And this is why I'm telling you guys this, because I don't want you to go through this depression of like, why am I failing? Like I'm just not strong enough in the mind, and just this is a road to killing yourself. All right, this is a road to killing yourself. If you keep telling yourself that you can do it if you just think hard enough, and you end up getting yourself killed, you know, that's on you, and it's a depressing thing. So I just don't want that to happen to you guys. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I know it's like probably not what you want to hear, but I think it's very important. I think it's very important. I don't want it to be demotivating. I just wanted to prove to you guys what the concept really meant. And yeah, so if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it or you disagree, leave a dislike, leave a comment as well. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. This is how I've been sort of tackling the issue, just because, like I said, I was dealing with this out of the Marine Corps. So if you disagree, leave a comment. I'm curious. And other than that, subscribe and watch out for the next videos. Talk to you guys soon.
2, 3 up!